Alright, g'day guys, Matt Preston Built Cruise, welcome back to the channel. Now, different style of video today. As you can see, we're in the office, and I thought this was a topic that's interesting. And remember, this isn't official, but I thought we'll talk about it. Is the Ford Everest Super Duty? Will it exist? Will it happen? Let's find out. Okay guys, now has the Ford Everest Super Duty been announced? No, this is all sort of speculation, but there are big positives that lead towards this actually happening. So yeah, you guys may have heard of the channel Car Source, and basically they went out to the 100-year celebration for Ford, and that's when the Super Duty was sort of announced and everyone was really excited for that new Ranger. Now, some of them guys actually had a little interview with one of the head Ford designers, Max Wolf. Basically, will we ever see a Ford Everest Super Duty? And basically what he said wasn't no. Now he said, if there became a market need for an Everest Super Duty, and we could make a business case, anything is possible. So that is from, you know, the leader designer in Ford, and they're basically saying it is very much possible, which is very exciting. And also, why wouldn't you? It's almost, they've done all the work for the Super Duty Ranger. It's just a matter of tweaking a few things, sort of the SUV variant, and you're almost there. They've already done lots of the hard work. Okay guys, now to bring you guys back to the start, why this is all happening in the first place. So just to touch up your knowledge on the Ford Ranger Super Duty, basically what we've got out of the box, 2026 this will be launched. We've got 4.5 ton GVM, 4.5 ton towing, and 8 ton GCM. So these are some big numbers, and obviously they've done quite a lot of changes to the Ranger. In fact, they've basically redesigned the whole chassis and the diffs and everything to be able to get these numbers. Now, there are a lot of people that would want those numbers, but not the Ute, which we totally understand, because think about all those families, you know, you've got the 200 series, 300 series, your big Land Rovers, you know, all these sort of cars that they've still got a family of 4 and they want to go away camping, but they obviously need, you know, those high numbers to really sort of be able to legally carry all that extra weight. And as we know, once you've got your caravan on and like 4 kids in the back, you're already over. So what are you going to do? You might buy a Super Duty Everest, which is very exciting. So out of the box, this will have very similar specs to the Super Duty Everest. So obviously that's, you know, 130 litre tank from standard, 8 nuts on each wheel, almost like a truck. And you're going to have all those little things that will add up to make it similar. Now, is there a market for this? Yes. Everyone's sort of saying if there's enough demand for it, they're going to actually go ahead and do it. And it's very exciting because everyone does sort of want to see what the Ranger will be like, and if it's going to be really good, they're going to make a wagon, which is really exciting. That's just my speculation. I think they actually will do it. End of 2026, you watch Everest wagon Super Duty will be announced. All right, and not to mention, when Car Source were out there interviewing, they also interviewed Todd Willing. Now, he is one of the head Ford designers, and they asked him, what do you think of the Everest Super Duty? Is it going to happen? And this is what he said. It's a very flexible platform, and it can do lots of things, as you can see today. We deliver what people are asking for, essentially. So that will drive the decision. So basically, if enough people get around it and are sort of asking for it and see the demand for it, they're just going to go ahead and make one, which is quite exciting. And obviously you can see that because they've done all the work with the Ranger, I don't think it's going to also cost that much on their end to sort of get it going. And as we know, the main difference between sort of your Ute and your wagon can sometimes be the rear setup, because the Ute's going to have huge payload, even leaf springs, and that's going to take a lot of weight. Whereas a wagon, you're not going to have that, and you're going to have, you know, your coil springs. So they will have to obviously change some things up there, but not to mention as well, because they're going to have 4.5 ton GVM, it's going to be hard for them to sort of get that soft ride like you would in a normal wagon, because they're going to have to really beef everything up. And it's, you know, it has to be able to carry that load, so it's going to be a little bit rougher than it normally would be. Now, also not to mention, if you don't know, Ford recently released a special edition of the Everest, which was the Ford Tremor edition. Now, this actually sold really well, and basically everyone's buying them. So there is a demand for those sort of niche and a bit more specialist versions of those vehicles. So basically to Ford, that lets them know if everyone's going to buy a Tremor, why wouldn't they buy a Super Duty edition? All right, now engine. It's definitely going to have the 3 litre V6 turbo engine, which is also what's going to be in the Super Duty Ranger. Now, it's going to have the same sort of size wheels and stud pattern as the F250 Super Duty, which is obviously 8, like we mentioned earlier. and it is definitely going to have that big engine. And they're also going to have to tune that obviously to allow for, you know, extra towing power and just a heavier base all round, which we already knew with the Ford Ranger Super Duty coming out. Now remember, the Everest and Ranger will only come out in a 10-speed automatic and will be full-time four-wheel drive, kind of like the PRADO I have as well. Okay guys, now in terms of what you're going to get from the car from factory, we already sort of know what it's going to be like. So if you take a photo of the Super Duty Ranger, it's going to be almost copy and paste. You're going to have those wider flares, the steel bumper, 130 litre tank, the bigger mirrors. You're going to have the larger indicators as well to be more compliant with the truck laws. And not to mention as well, obviously the rear will also have those widened flares, and you're going to have the same sort of paint code as well. Okay guys, now if you compare this car, if it does come out, the Super Duty Everest, if you compare it to the current cars on the market, you know, what's the competition? So obviously you've got your 250 PRADO, and then you've got your 300 series, you've got your 76 series. Now, what's important here as well is to mention that the 76 series is basically the closest sort of wagon that's got that competitive sort of, you know, GVM and also towing due to its rear leaf springs. Now, obviously in the long run, if I said to you, here's some money, would you rather do a lap of Australia in a Super Duty Everest or a 76 series? I think a lot of people would pick the Ford Everest based on the fact that it's going to be a lot more comfortable. You're going to have your modern technology, your nice seats, and better fuel economy. So obviously it just depends sort of what you want to go for, but you can sort of see already how the Everest is going to be a higher pick for most people. If it was me, I'd probably pick the 76 just because I don't mind, a bit more uncomfortable with big road trips, but that's just something to think about. People would actually pick the Super Duty Everest. All right, both Todd Williams and Max Wolf have both said that the Everest is definitely possible, but hasn't been announced yet. So yeah, if the demand is there, they're going to make them and send them out. So very exciting stuff. They've done all the hard work already. The Super Duty Ranger is already been announced. We've got all the specs for it. And remember, this Everest, if they do make it, won't have much competition because this isn't a lifestyle SUV. This is going to be a really full-on, heavy-duty, ultimate SUV ever. It's going to compete with the 300 series. It's going to have similar specs and power, and it's also going to have bigger towing, bigger GVM, bigger GCM. So this is very important, and Ford are a very well-established brand. They've got the funds, they've got the marketing, they can do it, which is very exciting. So do you guys think it will come out? And do you think you would buy one? Let us know down below in the comments. I think it will come out, to be honest, and I think there will be demand for it. And if I was in the financial position, I may buy one. So that's my opinion. I think it's going to happen. Let us know what you think down below. All right, guys. And do you also think the price of the new Everest will be competitive? And will it be similar to the Ranger? Or will it be a bit more, a bit less? Could be a bit more because it's going to have higher trim level, being sort of a family wagon orientated instead of being a bit more of an agricultural workhorse like the Ranger. But you never know. It could actually be quite competitive. Now, it's still going to be, you know, pretty much near that 100 grand mark because you're getting American truck statistics, but in a mid-size SUV, which is obviously the key factor here and the whole point of the car. So let us know what you think down below. If you want to subscribe, that'll be great. And I'll catch you guys next time on Built Cruisers.